Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack the key ideas from sources you really need to know about. And today, we're looking into something pretty ambitious, described as a revolutionary global initiative. It's all about reshaping the economic future, especially for the global south, with AI changing everything.
Yeah,
So what if economic growth isn't really about jobs anymore? What if it's about empowering millions, literally millions, to become owners, innovators?
exactly. And our sources today, they really center around this thing called the EON AI Ventures Entrepreneurship Olympics.
Hmm.
So our mission is to unpack this vision. How does it aim to redefine the economy, and how does it plan to get, 88% of humanity ready for an AI world? It
Yeah.
seems to be about turning demographic potential into real entrepreneurial success, systematically.
The scale is just...
Yeah, it's huge. The ambition is definitely there. So
Yeah.
to really get how this is supposed to revolutionize things, we probably need to dig into the core problem they're trying to solve first, right?
Okay, so what's the urgency here? What problem is this whole thing designed to fix?
The sources talk about a post-employment crisis because of AI, and they frame it as this critical convergence of two monumental forces. Sounds dramatic.
It does, but they lay it out pretty clearly. The first force is what they call the demographic destiny reality. Basically, by 2050, something like 88% of everyone will live in the global south. And this isn't just a number. It's the biggest concentration of young, ambitious, digitally savvy people on the planet. So this group, this demographic dividend, it's seen as the future talent pool and the biggest growth market. Their needs, their problems, solving those is where the big commercial opportunities are going to be for, the next century. The sources really emphasize this isn't just job shuffling, it's a total rethink of value creation, driven by AI happening fast. Right. And then you connect that demographic piece to the second force, the AI paradigm shift. AI, as these sources describe it, it fundamentally breaks that old link, economic progress equals more jobs. That's changing. The future, they argue, isn't for the employed necessarily, but for the owners of AI solutions. They make this distinction, which I found interesting, between building AI appliances, actual solutions for real problems, versus just generating AI electricity, the raw tech. The real value, they say, is in the appliances.
Precisely. So you put it together. You've got the global challenge, this looming post-employment crisis hitting traditional careers. But then the strategic opportunity, the global south, has this high density of unsolved, high-value problems just waiting for solutions, which leads to the economic reality. Future income comes from owning portfolios of these AI-powered solutions. There's a quote from EON spokesperson that sums it up. "We are not managing decline. We are architecting the future of value creation."
That's a really different lens on economic growth, isn't it? When you look at that vision, shifting from jobs to owning solutions. What strikes you as the most, radical part compared to how we usually think about the economy?
I think it's that explicit pivot, moving completely away from jobs as the main goal to ownership. It's not just, okay, let's retrain people for new AI jobs. It's let's enable people to build and own the AI solutions themselves, using AI to actually multiply their efforts.
That is a profound shift. Okay, so tackling something this big needs structure. EON AI Ventures has designed what they call a comprehensive systematic ecosystem. Sounds quite formal, but it's described as a clear pathway, taking talent from university right up to the global stage, built on a 3-stage pathway to excellence.
That's the framework. It starts with the University Olympics. Think of it as the foundation. You have maybe 200+ students per university in these 6-month programs. It's a mix of intense training and actually building a minimum viable product, an MVP. They compete for seed funding, that initial cash, and the right to move up.
Okay, so university level first. Then what?
Then winners advance to the National Olympics. This is the development stage. They spend 6 to 12 months in these world-class national wealth weaver centers, getting intensive incubation. The goal here is serious. Turn promising projects into companies ready for investment, like proper Series A funding.
Right, moving beyond just an idea to a real business.
Exactly. And then the top national champs go to the International Olympics. That's the global showcase. These happen in major international hubs. Riyadh is mentioned as an example. Here, they're competing for, unicorn-level funding, aiming for that billion-dollar valuation, plus global recognition, access to sovereign wealth funds, those big government investment pots, and top global VCs.
Okay, that pathway makes sense, but the sources also really highlight something called the continuous quarterly competition and funding cycle. How does that part work? How does it avoid the usual startup program issues?
Yeah, that seems key. Instead of waiting for, say, an annual competition or a specific batch intake, this system lets teams advance whenever they meet the criteria. It's not tied to the calendar. This means constant momentum. If you're ready, you move up. It's tied directly to performance. The idea is to avoid those fatal bottlenecks, where good teams just stall because they have to wait for the next cycle.
That makes a lot of sense, keeping the momentum going. So, all right, there are lots of accelerators, government programs trying to boost startups. What makes this fundamentally different? What are the unique selling points, according to the sources?
Right, a crucial point. The sources draw some pretty sharp contrasts. First, scale. EON talks about a systematic global ecosystem, 80-plus countries. Compare that to, programs with limited spots or just local impact. It's a different order of magnitude than the pathway. It's that clear three-stage progression we just talked about, not just a one-off selection or fragmented efforts. The timing, that continuous quarterly flow we mentioned, much faster than fixed annual cycles or getting stuck in bureaucracy. And the focus. This is big. It's squarely on ownership and creating value, not just preparing people for jobs or counting jobs created.
Okay, scale, pathway, timing, focus. What else?
Technology. They mention a proprietary 300-agent AI workforce suite, which sounds like a pretty sophisticated set of AI tools meant to automate a lot of the entrepreneurial grind research, modeling, maybe even early development. That seems like a step beyond just offering basic software tools. Also funding access. They're talking direct lines to sovereign wealth funds and global VCs, which is typically harder to reach than, say, local angel networks or just relying on grants. And finally, sustainability. It's designed, apparently, as a self-sustaining economic engine, not something constantly dependent on external grants or taxpayer money.
Wow, okay, that is a comprehensive list of differentiators.
Yeah.
When you build something this interconnected with universities, national partners, host countries, students, it really brings up the question of incentives. How do they actually get everyone pulling in the same direction? How have they aligned things?
That's definitely addressed. The model seems designed for shared prosperity, trying to give everyone a clear reason to participate. For students, it's pretty straightforward, a path to actually owning a funded company. Plus, access to non-dilutive seed money that's huge means they don't give up equity right at the start and then venture funding later. It lowers that initial barrier. For universities, it's a way to boost their reputation and attract students. Instead of just tracking grad employment rates, they can point to funded companies, VC raised by alumni. That's a different metric.
Okay, so clear benefits for students and universities. What about the partners running it nationally or the host countries?
For national partners, it's framed as an exclusive business opportunity. They get a reported 30% commission on deals, plus they get equity stakes in the startups coming through their centers, so potentially quite lucrative. And for the host countries of the International Olympics, the pitch is leadership positioning in the Global South. Plus, they get first dibs, essentially, on investing in potential future unicorns emerging from the Games. And it accelerates their own economic diversification plans.
It sounds like they've thought carefully about making it worthwhile for each player, but none of this works without the money behind it, right? Let's unpack this financial model a bit. How is it structured and what kind of impact are they actually projecting?
Right, the financials. At the university level, it's mentioned as a $300,000 annual investment per institution. Looks like partly shared prize pools. For those national centers, the investment is bigger. $7.5 million each to build those high-spec incubation hubs, and that includes dedicated venture funding. And the host country partnership for the International Games involves them covering operational costs. In return, they get a 2-3% equity stake in all the companies that qualify for that international stage.
Okay, so that's the investment structure. And the projections, I remember you saying they were aiming high?
Yeah, the 10-year projections are definitely ambitious. They're projecting over $5 billion in direct revenue, mostly from partnership fees. For portfolio value, the value of their equity stakes, they estimate conservatively $10 billion, maybe up to $50 billion more, across 10,000-plus funded companies. Unicorn production. Using a standard startup success rate, like 1%, they figure that could mean 100-plus billion-dollar companies emerging from this.
Yeah.
And the overall global impact. They're talking 100,000-plus entrepreneurs launched, creating potentially 10 million-plus high-value jobs indirectly and directly.
Those are huge numbers, and it's all mapped out in a global rollout plan.
Yeah, a systematic roadmap, starting with 10 pilot countries in the first year, then scaling up over a decade to more than 80 countries, aiming for over 1 million participants annually by year 10. The scale is, well, Olympic-sized.
Fitting, and underpinning all this is technology, right? You mentioned that AI workforce suite.
Exactly. The tech backbone is EON AI Ventures' own Wealth Weaver software. And that 300-agent AI workforce per company seems central. It's designed to give these new entrepreneurs a real competitive edge by automating key tasks right from the start.
Mhm.
AI is baked into the process.
And just to round it off, they've even got a new motto for this whole thing.
They do. They've apparently adapted the classic Olympic motto. Instead of Citius, Altius, Fortius, Faster, Higher, Stronger, it's Innovatius, Scalarius, Prosperius. So more innovative, more scalable, more prosperous. It's presented as setting a new kind of Olympic standard, but for entrepreneurship in the age of AI.
Innovatus, Scalarius, Prosperius. It certainly captures the ambition.
Absolutely. What's really fascinating reading through the sources is how it's positioned. It's not just presented as another startup competition. It's framed as laying the groundwork for a whole new economic order, one where the global south potentially takes the lead in applying AI to solve major problems and create value.
It's a powerful idea. So, thinking about all this, what does it mean for how you, our listener, might think about the future of work, of innovation,
Hmm.
especially as AI keeps evolving and, that line between being an employee and being an owner gets blurrier and blurrier? Are we actually seeing the start, maybe, of a fundamentally new economic paradigm taking shape, something to really think about?